You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Scottish Football Show Extra right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McBride, delighted to be your host as always. A very special episode in this week. We are joined by Mark Shankland as always. Shankers, how are we?
I am good, Scott. Cheers.
Brilliant. And we're joined, it's a Glenafton special this week, so we've brought in two of the best characters in the Glenafton dressing room. We've got the assistant manager, former legend in the park, Brian McGarrity. Brian, how are we?
Aye, good pal. Cheers.
Brilliant.
Cheers for having me again.
No bother at all, any time. And we're joined as well by, he looks very nervous when he's on here, Ross. How are we?
Not bad, pal, thanks.
Brilliant. It's a great show lined up. We're obviously going to talk about Glenafton start to the season. We're going to talk about some stories. We're going to do a recap, though, of the past. Obviously, we haven't had a show in the past couple of weeks relating to the West, but we're going to start off with Shankers. Talk us through it. Coming up 2, Auchinleck 3, 2-0 at half time. What was going through your minds at half time?
We were talking before we come on, and Brian said a few of his results, and I was the same. I just wanted the game to finish there and then. No finish there and then, but because you've still got half to play. But I just thought I never seen what was going to happen the second half. I've never seen that coming at all. We were very poor the first half, and it was 2-0 was probably far as it could have been 3 or 4 going in at half time, but thankfully in the end up we managed to come back and get the win.
Brilliant. Brian, what was your thoughts on your 1-0 victory over Bonnet and your third win of the season? Were you happy with the result in the end?
Aye, well, we kind of viewed it as a must win. Obviously Bonnet's bottom of the league and they're not doing great. And if he's kind of getting results against them, we don't want detached from other teams around us at the moment going to the league table. I know it's early doors, but you want to stay in touch. And it was good to get a win. 1-0, probably flattered Bonnet, I would say. I thought it was, I would say, mainly attack v defence the whole game. Thought we played really well. Maybe similar to Scotland the other night. Finishing in the final third wasn't up to scratch, but we got the win. And I would have taken a 1-0 win before the game, so I'm happy enough.
Brilliant. Ross, what was your thoughts on the 1-0 victory? Were you happy?
Probably similar to Brian. It was must win. Need to kind of try and start putting points on the board. I thought first half we kind of battered them. At second half we kind of huffed and puffed, but we never really were under any pressure, to be honest with you. It's good just to get points on the board.
Brilliant. We will look at the other results in the Premier Division. Obviously, Friday night, Darvel 2, Hurlford 4. Beath beat Kilburney 3-1. Clydebank 0, Pollok 2. Cumbernauld 1, Rob Roy 4. Obviously, Cumnock 2, Auchinleck 3. Glenafton 1, Bonnet 0. Arvin 1, Kilwinning 3. Lags 3, Benburn 0. Rossvale 2, Troon 0. And Rutherglen 3, Blantyre 2. Shankers, what kind of result in that list kind of catches your eye? What was the one that you thought you were kind of stunned when you heard?
I wouldn't say I'm stunned, but obviously the one on Friday night, Hurlford, Darvel, it's probably, I'm not saying it's a surprise, it's not a shock or anything, but Hurlford's capable of doing that to anybody in the league, but maybe Darvel at home in the league, you would expect them to win that, but fair play to Hurlford, they've went there and they've had the right goal and they've got joy and they've come out with 3 points, and Darvel's going through a wee sticky patch now. Mick will be looking to hope they get through it and get to the other side and start picking up wins. But it's just one of those things. So see when you're dropping points week after week and getting into games and you're maybe thinking, surely this is going to end now. But it's a wee patch for them, and I'm sure they'll get through it and in the end. But it is probably one of the ones where everybody's looking and thinking it's a wee bit of a surprise there.
Yeah, definitely. Brian, what kind of result in the Premier Division this weekend caught your eye?
Probably the Rossvale result against Troon surprised me a wee bit. Rossvale's similar position to ourselves, and Troon gave us a bit of a doing a few weeks ago. They were a good side, worthy 4-0 winners against us, and I was surprised. Rossvale, I think Stevie Wilson might get sent off start the second half, so I don't know if that turned the tide or not, but I would say probably result of the week in the league for me would be Rossvale against Troon.
He must have got sent off for two cents or something, eh? He's not got a tackle in him.
Ross, what result got you right?
Similar to Matt, I think the game on Friday night, Hurlford-Darvel was a bit of a shock. I know Hurlford were struggling for players going into that game on Friday night, so to go there and score 4 goals away from home, I thought was quite impressive, to be honest with you.
Brilliant. We're going to move into Conference A. We'll take a look at their results quickly. Atherley beat Johnson 5-2. Forth 6, Lugar 2. Garvin 1, Bellshill 5. Glasgow Uni 3, Craig Martin 0. Irvine Vicks 1, Les Mahago 5. Maybole 4, Muirkirk 3. Saltcoats 2, Maryhill 4. And Shotts 3, Whitlets 1. Shankers, give us a result out of that and a kind of team that's catching your eye in Conference A.
I think Atherley been up there, and we played Johnston in pre-season. We played Johnston pre-season, and they were a kind of stuffy team, and I thought they would be up there in the division for one of the teams that would be challenging. So I think take 5 goals off of them is some feat, and I think I'd be surprised if Atherley at the top of the table at the end of the season.
Yeah. Brian, who in Conference A do you think's got the most potential to top the league?
To be honest, I've not really paid much attention. That's terrible. But the only result probably paid attention to that weekend is Craigmart. We've got Craigmart this week in the Cup. I don't know much about Glasgow Uni, but obviously they've been doing all right. Craigmart, Ryan, I've watched them in a pre-season friendly, knowing we had them in the Cup, and they're a decent side, so they'll be looking to bounce back against us. So take nothing for granted against them, because I always feel a team on the back of defeat's always a danger when you've got them the next game. You can't underestimate them. You always get a reaction most of the time.
Yeah, definitely. Ross, what about you? What was Conference A? Is there anything catching your eye?
I'll be honest with you, I'm similar to Brian. I don't look much at the kind of leagues, to be honest with you. I just try and concentrate on ours and win about us.
Definitely. We'll move into Conference B quickly. We'll just run through Ardere 3, Newmains 2, Ashfield 2, Thornleywood 4, Cambuslang 10, Royal Albert 1, Dalry 1, Carluke 2, Glasgow United 0, Kello 0, Greenock 1, Gartcairn 0, and St Cadoc's 4, Port Glasgow 0. Brian, St Cadoc's, obviously your former manager's there at St Cadoc's, and now you surprised they've started the season so well. Obviously they're sitting top of the league.
Oh, no, not surprised at all. To be honest, they've got quality players there, and obviously Southie's quality manager as well with Potsy, and Billy Peacock is the goalie coach as well. They've got class players. Look, get Scottish Cup winners there, boys that are playing Scottish finals. The boy Miller, Richie McCallan's played in Scottish finals. He's won the Junior Cup, experienced at a higher level, and I don't want to be disrespectful to that league. You never know, we might be in it next year. But they're flying now, Southie. You know what it's like. He wants his teams to play a bit of football and high tempo, and I'm not surprised at all. They're doing really well. I think Cambuslang are in their coattails, or might go ahead of them to win their game in hand. So that'll be an interesting duel as the season goes on. Them two battling it out at the top.
Yeah, definitely. Cambuslang pick up their 9th win in a row in the league. Shankers, they're kind of flying, aren't they? They're scoring goals for fun. 10 goals against Royal Albert. That's some accomplishment. They've actually started the season brilliantly.
I have. They scored 10 goals against anybody is some feat in the one game. So, how many goals did that boy score on Saturday?
I think he scored 2, but I think somebody else scored a hat-trick.
Oh, so I have goals coming from over the pitch. So as Brian says, if they win their game in hand, they go 1 point clear. I think it'll be the two that's up there coming in the season. I noticed Ardere got another win on Saturday as well, which puts him third. So they're doing really well. Been
Ardere's flying, aren't they?
Been following their results just because I seen that they had. I think they were struggling for a team at the start of the season, and then their kind of amateur team kind of took them over, kind of something along the lines, and I've just been following them, and they've been picking up some good wins against some good teams. Probably surprised myself how well they're actually doing. They're kind of probably punching above their weight a wee bit, but you'll be happy about that. But I think the two that's at the top will be up there coming in this season.
Yeah, I think that as well. I think both teams have started brilliantly. Obviously, the experiences at Caddox will be good, but Canberra's lying. You can't, when you're scored goals like that, it's going to be so hard to take them away for the top, near enough the top of the table. We'll move into Conference C. We'll just go through the results. Ardrossan 4, Larkhill 1. Ardrossan 1, Larkhill 1. East Kilbride 2, St Anthony's 0. Lanark 3, Petershill 4. Neilston 2, Drumchapel 1. And St Roch's 5, Wishaw 1. Shankers, big result of that conference is probably Neilston beating Drumchapel to close the gap to 2 points at the top.
Aye, I mean that's one of the games. Some people call a 6-pointer when you're playing the teams up next to you. Neilston bringing it the gap back to 2 points, as you say. St Roch's were a convincing one as well, 5-1 at home to Wishaw. So they three teams, probably Petershill as well in the mix. I'll be up there coming into the season. Drumchapel's had a good start so far, so it's an interesting league. That we keep an eye on it.
Yeah, definitely. Brian, any thoughts on conference?
I just looking at the table. It's tight. So it is. I heard Neilson were a right good side during COVID when Mick was at St Cadoc's. I think Neilson turned St Cadoc's over, and Mick was quite impressed with him. And I think St Cadoc's were happy Neilson get put in a different conference. Meant to be a right side. So there was striker boy was at Meadows there, isn't he? Can't mind. Darren Jones, is that right? If I dreamt that up?
Could be Shankers. Darren Jones is here at Neilson.
Mobile boy, quite quick.
There's a boy that's really quick out wide. We played him in pre-season. The boy that's lightning quick. He played to the left or up front. It possibly could be him. I'm not sure. But Brian says they're a good side. We played them in pre-season. You had to. I know it's only a friendly, but it wasn't treated like a friendly by them, definitely. So I'm not surprised to see that they're up there at the top of the league.
Yeah, obviously Petershill are a big club and all. They'll be going for a push later on as the season goes on. They'll be wanting to get promoted, so they will. Petersill's a big club. Too good to be in the lower leagues, in my opinion. So they are.
Yeah, definitely. We'll speak a wee bit about Division 4 quickly. Shankers, BSC 2, Campbellton 3, Harmony Row 3, Finnart 4, and Kilsyth Athletic 5, Glenville 1. It does look as if Finnart and Kilsyth Athletic are going to run away with it. I think they're 9 points clear of the rest of the league.
Aye, as we said earlier, it's a league we don't really know too much about, but when you see the two teams are so far ahead, it's going to be a two-horse race all the way to the wire, and Kilsyth winning 5-1 at the weekend as well, pretty convincing. So it's going to be lots of it's going to be between the two early doors.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that was our West of Scotland roundup. We're going to talk a bit to Brian and Ross about the start of Glenafton they've had so far. Brian, I'll start with you. Obviously, you're new into the kind of management role. How have you found the transition from the pitch to the dugout? Particularly, obviously, you and Mick have obviously come through the team together for years, and now you're obviously in the dugout together.
It's tough, so it is. I wouldn't say I was expecting it to be easy, but it's you have to learn on the go, so you do. We've been dealt a few blows in the last 8 weeks or so. Tough start to the season. You're playing Saturday, Wednesday. You've got no rest whatsoever, and you've got to deal with the blows you've been getting as quick as possible. Learn and just try and keep positive, keep going on, and try and be better yourselves while trying to improve the squad and get better results along the way, and try and turn the corner a wee bit, because let's not be kidded, we're a wee bit of a dogfight. I know it's early doors in the season, but we need to try and improve. We don't want to be in the position we are, and hopefully we can climb up the league with a few more wins. But
yeah, definitely. Ross, obviously you've just arrived at Glenafton in the past couple of months. What's going to be the thing that's caught you about Glenafton so far?
It's a massive club. There's big expectation at the club, obviously, and at this moment in time, we're not delivering those expectations. Obviously, the league table doesn't lie. We've had a few poor results, albeit we've not been too far away performance-wise. It's a young squad. Mick's obviously had to build that from scratch, so there's quite a lot of young boys involved in the squad, still learning and finding their feet, and hopefully we can click sooner rather than later and try and catapult up further up the league than where we are just now.
Yeah, definitely. Brian, what's obviously the thoughts? The start's been tough. You've played kind of a lot of the top teams at the start of the season. 3 wins, 2 draws, 7 defeats. So obviously you started really well with that win at Irvine Meadow, and it kind of took you a wee while to get going, and then you just picked up a couple of wins in the last few games. How you found it so far? Obviously the difference in league, obviously a lot more teams in the league, and obviously a lot more, as you say, a lot more games. What's been kind of the biggest differences for you since the season started?
As regards to what the first game or whatever,
well, obviously you beat Irvine Meadow first game. That's obviously a kind of massive result. Kind of after that, it took you a wee while to get a second one. Like, what do you think?
Look, it was a tough start, but that's sport, isn't it? You want to beat the best, you want to play against the best, and we came up short. I possibly think there may still be a hangover for the second game against Darvel. Thought we were excellent that night, and another night we would have won, but for whatever reason we missed a penalty late on. Darvel boys scored a wonder strike late on, and I think we still suffered a wee bit for that game. I think our confidence took a big blow that night, but we're getting there. The boys, they are young boys we've got in, and they are getting more and more confident. Look, the last 4 games, I think we're 7 points for 12, bar the Troon game. We've played well in those other 3 games. And against Blantyre another day, we would have won that game. Although I think a couple of things might have went our way in the second half. But in the first half, I thought we battered Blantyre. And we were doing 1-0 at half time for a goal. It was all doing, defended terribly for it. But I think we've not had a lot of luck, I would say, either. But you make your own luck. That's what I say. The harder you work, the luckier you'll get. So we've just got to keep working hard and hopefully turn our way sooner or later.
Yeah, definitely. Ross, I've got a question for you here. We've got a few questions we'll kind of patch in during the different points of the show, but we've got one here. Where are you going to stop lading your tights and get back playing?
No comment. Kidding on that. I've missed a few games there. I've played the first 6 or 7 games. I've probably missed the last 4 or 5 there through injury. But no, that's me back fighting fit for selection.
You ready to go? Obviously, Brian, I'll come back to you on that as well. Obviously, you've got the cup on Saturday, but after that, the fixtures, there's a few more home games as well. Are you kind of hoping you'll bounce back? And again as well, how big a miss has it been, obviously losing maybe Kyle McCausland, Finlay Fry, a couple of players have kind of moved on. Has it been hard to kind of replace that experience?
Of course, they're good players, seasoned boys at this level, and look, they're not at Glenafton anymore. We can't worry about that. We can only worry about what we've got in our squad, and we believe the squad we have is good enough to get results in the league. And look, you always try and improve the squad if players come along as well. But the next fixtures are key for us. I think Rutherglen's our next league game. You don't want to overlook the cup game Saturday. Rutherglen's another massive game. They're all going to be now. We're well into the league now, so we've got to pick up points as often as possible, and keep working hard, and we'll get the rewards if we work hard and the training and believe in ourselves. We'll get our rewards eventually.
Yeah, definitely. Shankers, anything you want to add?
No, I think that some of the teams at this stage of the season are in a wee bit of a fourth position just because first 10 games, as Brian said, we're playing Saturday, Wednesday. Boys at work all day, injuries, suspensions. People haven't got as big a squad, so the same boys are playing 10 games in a row. I think at this stage we're in a wee bit of a false position. Maybe when you go halfway through the season, you'll see teams maybe in positions roughly where they're going to finish. It has been tough. Some teams have got, as you said, Glenafton at the start of the season have probably played a lot of the kind of teams that are up the top end of the season, so they maybe got a run of fixtures now that they'll feel that they can take maximum points for the majority of them. So I think as further we get into the season, maybe near Christmas time, you'll see more teams in a more position that they feel that they'll be at the end of the season, rather than I think it's Saturday, Wednesday. It's hard. We spoke before at 12 games and used to be more than halfway through the season in the top league in the juniors. So for that to not even be a third of the way through the season just shows how tough it's going to be, and there's going to be plenty more points dropped and plenty more points won over the course of the season. So I don't think where every team is just now is it's where it's going to finish.
Definitely. Every squad's going to have to be utilised to the max. I would say we're quite lucky. We've got a decent pool of boys, and that's going to be stretched when it comes to the winter months. And obviously, the COVID situation's still about as well. And look, everybody's in the same boat. It's good squads. I think will come to the fore in the coming months. So they have.
We've got a wee question here, and I'll ask Brian this. Ask Brian whose headed goal was better at Meadow Park in the opening day of this league season, Ross Fisher's or Sean McElroy's?
Was it Ross's goal in the opening day?
Absolutely, Brian. I don't score many, so I've got to claim that.
I think.
And when I do score, normally in the opposing net.
Ross, I'll come to you.
Ross,
we're going with Ross.
Square you up later, Brian.
Ross, I'll come to you. Obviously, who's kind of caught your eye in the dressing room as well? How good's the dressing room atmosphere, and who's the kind of players that have caught your eye since you went in?
Oh, the dressing room's good. It's lively. A lot of young boys in it that have kind of grown up a wee bit for the walk through the door. There's a good bit of banter, a good mix. There's a few thickles in it, right enough. Young David Blythe and Daniel Sloan. What a bunch they are. Absolutely phenomenal. I think their nickname's a gun platoon.
That's WhatsApp group picture, them two. We played a prank on them before one of the games. It was one of the early games of the season. And we had these two, the subsuits you get, right? Glens have got a wee corner in our pavilion. These two old subsuits are sitting in a manky with their gold class or something, so they are. So we said, right, we need two boys that's a sponsor for subsuits. We need two boys to get a picture taken with Bobby Guthrie. He's our guy who takes the photos and all that. David, Daniel, used to come on. So they're putting these big they're mocking. They've not been washed. They're putting these subsuits on. And we've got the picture taken in the changing room. They're keen at the big smiles, and all that. We're all buckled, laughing. Young Daniel's looking at me like, what are you laughing at? Stop laughing at me. I couldn't. I was just pissing myself. And he still didn't even click on that we're all pissing ourselves laughing that we weren't coming to cunt with them. But fucking some boys.
Brilliant. We will move on to a wee kind of subject we've got here. We've got a quick fire round for both of you. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you these off the cuff, and you need to obviously go one after the other. We'll do a quick fire round. So we'll start with Cumnock or Auchinleck. Brian, you go
Who's going
first.
first, Brian?
Well, I played Auchinleck, so I'll say Auchinleck shades it. Just
Ross, who you got?
Auchinleck.
Auchinleck. Best player played with?
Whitey.
He's up there, aye. I tell you, ability-wise, I remember training at Talbot. I played with Graham Wilson. The first season he was there, he used to make a fully in training. Like, he would side foot things by you for 20 yards. So, like, any chance, G? Whitey would be up there, just pure determination. Didn't have, I'm not doing him a disservice. There's boys that are more talented, but Whitey get everything out of his game and still does.
It was quick fire, Brian.
Ross, best player played with?
I would be stuck between two. I would Paul McKenzie and Matt McLaughlin.
Best player played against?
Andy Leishman.
Ross?
As a goalies union anyway.
I'm stuck.
It's quick fire, Ross.
Listen, there's a few. Graham Wilson.
Graham Wilson. Best story of your football career? That's obviously no quick fire. You need to tell an off-the-cuff story. The first story that comes into your mind when you think about your football career.
Wow.
No idea.
That's a hard one.
We'll move on to. We'll come back to that. Actually, funniest character you've had in your dressing room.
Mark Roberts for me. Absolutely.
You've got to follow that up with a story.
No, he's bonkers.
You couldn't say some of the stories about what he says in a dressing room on air.
Me and Marco used to travel together to Clyde training, and he wouldn't fill the car. Petrol light would in the car after training. Petrol light would be on, and he would drive back to the training, and he would more or less just say, "Right, we're driving the car breaks down. Basically, if we get him, we get him. If we don't, we don't." Absolutely bonkers. Coming up that slip road at the Q8, shiting yourself, thinking you're going to break down.
I'm to push it up the hill.
That's gospel true. I'm not joking.
Brian, you got a funny character you played with?
Played with a few Rockets. Gormley was a bit of a rocket, I thought, at times. Good boy, but it was Adam Strachan. He was another one, a rocket. So he was big Ches.
What he was.
Aye, big Ches is a rocket and all. I can't believe I've suffered him for the best part of 10 years.
See the question, one of the stories he told on here was brilliant about when Hendo was the manager of the Glens, and he'd just come into the team and he would sit in a bit of form and that, and Hendo's saying, "Ken, what is it? You've been brilliant the last few weeks. Ken, what's up with you?" And he says, "I've stopped being out on a Friday night."
I don't think he's fucking stopped it now.
Start it again. Oh, brilliant. It's as if he's that daft that he thinks like that's an alright answer to say.
Right, we'll move on.
Sorry, I've got one. Steph McMillan. He was my manager at Anbank when I first went. He's the wittiest guy I've ever met in my life. Hilarious. I can't tell stories about Big Steph, what he used to go up to.
I'll throw it to you, Shankers, as well. Who's the funniest character you've played with?
Scott McLaughlin's probably up there when we're here, but there's a couple. Scotty's probably up there. I do agree with Fisher, but when Marco was a player at here when you were younger, you just say I can't really say too much about some of the things he would say. Wilson would probably vouch for me in that as well. But probably funny wise, Scott McLaughlin as well. He's probably Snodgrass, and he's a bit of a joker for what everybody says as well. So you can see how they got on as pals. But I'd probably say Scottish up there.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on to the current Glenafton squad. These are a few quick fire questions. Most talented.
Scott Sherry.
Ross.
I'd probably agree with Brian in that. Aye, Scott.
Hard man.
When you say hard man, what do you mean by that?
I mean, just if you get fouled, who would come and
Just coming to back you up.
your corner? Who would back you up?
Mark Gilmer, I would say.
Ollie, I don't what's Ollie's second name, Brian?
English boy.
Aye.
He was in training, was it? That season.
Quickest player.
Sam McKee.
Well, Leon maybe.
Slowest player.
I'll be up there.
I'll say Ross.
This is probably one for
That's
Ross.
why Ross has been happy. I've been training recently. Somebody beating the runs.
You weren't to tell him that.
This is one for Ross. Teacher's pet.
David Blythe. He hangs off Brian Durham.
Would you
I
go
seen
along
him.
with
I seen him at golfing at Ballochnail, Ross.
that?
Teacher's pet. Big Petty, the captain.
Best trainer.
The pause isn't a good. It's either
Callum
all of too many.
Young boy, Callum Thompson.
Ross, so you got
I'd agree with Brian in that.
worst trainer.
Sean McElroy.
Aye, big Sean.
Future manager.
Me. Big Petty.
Aye, big Ollie. I could see being a manager.
That rounds up our quick fire questions. We've got a wee obviously when we told everybody you're coming on with we got a wee kind of couple of questions to ask for folk in the dressing room. I'm not going to say who because I'm not going to drop them in it. But first one for Ross. Why do you never attend team night outs? You've already cancelled in 2, I've heard.
There'll be another 2 cancelled as well. In short, my wife's a fruitcake. And I'm locked in the house anytime there's a team night out.
I'm sure your wife was in the pub Saturday as well.
And I was in the house, Brian. Enough said.
And I also understand, Ross, you're the head of the fines committee, but you're also constantly fining yourself for non-attendance at a night out.
Yes, that's correct.
Brian, one for you as well, and Shankers has touched on it earlier. Brian plays golf and forever talks to Leon and Davey about it. Try to wind young Davey up as his greenkeeper at McGarrity. McGarrity says he beats him every time they play, so get Brian talking about that. No doubt he'll start slaughtering boys. Talk to us about that.
Look, Leon and Davey, young boys. Leon, I think, get more into it recently. Davey's a member at Ballochnail. Says his handicap's 2 or something. Can't hold it. Every time I play him, I murder him. I'm a 6 handicapper, and I hammer him all the time. He doesn't take it well, to be honest. I want to see him air a putt, 6-foot putt. Nervous wreck. More nervous than Ross is tonight.
Brilliant. He can't where all the pin positions and all that are the Ballochnail. That's how he's handicaps too.
Aye. To be fair, I've played him at the Mullen a few times, my home track, so he says he never likes that course. Too hard.
Bro, but you've obviously got a kind of busy few weeks ahead, Brian and Ross. What's the plans going into the rest of the season? What's the target?
Look, you go, Brian.
Many games as possible. Look, you don't want to. It's again when I was on with you at the start of the season. You don't want to start making predictions, making too much noise. It comes back and bites you in the arse every time. So it does. Look, there's probably been a few teams in the league guilty of that. Looking at the table, no naming teams, but look, we need to start picking wins up, worrying about ourselves, try and get as high up as possible. Every game is massive. Try and win every game. Try and be competitive. Pick up as many points as possible. If we're doing the right things, I'm sure we'll move up the table. But
definitely, Ross. What's your thoughts for the season ahead? Are you setting personal targets yourself?
I think similar to Brian. Listen, it goes without saying you've got to win as many games as you possibly can and try and finish as high up the league table as you possibly can. Listen, the league table now is no good reading, but as Matt said earlier on, it's maybe not a true reflection now just because of the Saturday Wednesday games. So listen, we've got to win as many games as possible and get ourselves out there. In the next couple of weeks, we've got a few cup ties. Of course, you want to stay in them, but your bread and butter is the league.
Let's not be careless with the cup as well. We've got the Scottish Cup. We're away to Cumnock. That's a massive game.
No.
I remember my first season at the Glens. We got Cumnock in the quarters, so we did, and it was a huge occasion. The Scottish Cup's still massive as well. I know the league's a big thing now, being a wee expansion with it and more focus on it, but the Junior Cup's a big deal. So it is, with teams all over the country in it, not just the West Coast. And that's a big game for us in a few weeks as well against Cumnock. That's going to be huge attention on it, and hopefully one we can get through. But it's no big kid. It's going to be a hard game. Cumnock are doing well, so they are. Have got good players, as you said. Finlay Fry, Kyle McCausland used to play with the Glens, so.
Yeah.
Darren McGill used to play with the Glens is there as well, and obviously we've got a good management team, Tony McInally and Branco and the boys. It's been with Tony for years as well, so that's...
Yeah, definitely. Shankers, I want to get your thoughts on this before we move into talking about the kind of end of the transfer window in Scotland a wee bit. What's your thoughts on this new proposal about the Cup, with potentially the Lowland teams going into it? Have you heard about that?
No, you'll need to put that.
There's talk of this is just a rumour, but there's talk of the Highland and Lowland League teams being invited into the Junior Cup next year.
No, I think it has been proposed, so it has. It's been proposed. They've got 80 grand worth of backing or whatever the SJFA to expand the Junior Cup or make it a non-league, a Scottish non-league cup. So you can only see what pans out in the next few weeks, I'd imagine.
Shankers, your first impression of that, if you've not heard, what do you think of that idea?
I think it's probably good to expand and maybe bring more attention to the Junior Cup than what already is. There's teams that are playing in our league that aren't in it for, we spoke about the other week there, for whatever reasons. So I think adding other teams in it to make it a bigger and better competition can only be good for it. And whether it goes ahead or no, there's lots of people that have got some good memories before the Junior Cup. So it's a big thing at this level. It definitely is, and it's one that when it comes out at the start of the season, you're looking to see who you get, and it's one of the ones that if you're fortunate enough to get there and win it, it's something that you'll always remember. So if they're bringing bigger and better teams into it, then it's going to attract more attention to it, and if it goes ahead, then fair enough, it'll be a good competition for everybody that's involved. Don't fancy a couple of trips to some of the Highland League teams, mind you, but it'll certainly make for good viewing if they're coming into it.
Brian, what's your thoughts on it? Obviously, you know a bit about it. Are you for it or against it?
I'd be for it, to be honest. Look, you look down England. Look, obviously, a lot of the non-league teams now have got the licence trying to get in the Senior Cup. But for a realistic point of view, a non-league, Scottish non-league cup, I think it's a great idea. Find out who is the best non-league team in the country. I think I'd be all for it. Whether teams for other associations are going to buy into it, I doubt it, if I'm honest. I can't see the Highland League and the Lowland League buying into it, but I hope I'm wrong. But I feel these other associations have all got their own agenda, so they do, as probably did the juniors, which much to their downfall, obviously with this West of Scotland League now. But I would love to see it, so I would, definitely.
What would happen then with the teams that are playing in our league that haven't put themselves forward for the Junior Cup, if it was to become a Scottish non-league club? Cup, what would happen? Would they get in it, or would they still be out it? Can say, for instance, one of the teams that's not in it, see the attractions of Brora and your East Kilbride and stuff like that in the cup, and it brings a big attraction to it, would then they turn around and want back in it or not? Ken, that's something.
I don't know. It's politics, isn't it? I'm sure there'll be invitational letters sent out to these clubs. I think the Buffs and Darvel are in the Junior Cup.
They're not in the Junior Cup, so
I don't get that, to be honest. But that's up to them. That's for them clubs to decide. It's not for us to tell them. But we can only see what happens in the next few months.
Yeah, definitely. Ross, are you for it or against it?
100% for it. Definitely. I think the more teams you can add into it to get the spotlight that it probably deserves, I think it's a no-brainer for me. I think over the last maybe 3 or 4 years, the Scottish Junior Cup lost its identity a wee bit with teams pulling out and breaking up for the juniors, if you like, which I don't think the Cup deserved that, to be honest. So I think if you can add more teams into it and give it, as I said, the spotlight it deserves, then definitely it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, definitely. We'll touch a bit on the game coming up tomorrow night. Scotland play Austria. We'll touch on the two games so far. We'll start with Shankers. A 2-0 defeat against Denmark, followed by a 1-0 win against Moldova. What's been your thoughts so far in both games?
Very underwhelming, I think. The Denmark game, you can't really complain. I mean, Denmark had a really good Euros and the excellent players. The first half, I think Scotland were lucky to probably just go in at 2-0. I think the second half they played a lot better, but if they maybe had played like that in the first half, I think maybe some of the selections like playing Robertson right back. I know there was a lot of players missing through COVID and whatnot and pulling out the squad and stuff, but I think just being able to play players in positions are comfortably. Robertson should be able to play a position because of the level that he plays at, but I think it just totally like a left foot at right back or a right foot at left back. I think it just totally unbalanced in the team, and I think 2-0 was probably for Scotland were probably a wee bit lucky to get away at just 2-0, but second half performance is slightly better, and beating Moldova 1-0, it's a game you want to go and a confidence booster, go and score 3, 4, 5 goals at home, and it wasn't very flattering, so it'll be interesting tomorrow night. It's a tough game. Austria are a decent side as well, so it'll be interesting to see, but it's probably one that we need to win, to be honest.
Ross, do you think Scotland have been decent in those two games, and what's your thoughts for tomorrow night against Austria?
I thought the first half against Denmark, they were very poor. I thought worrying the goals they lost, actually. The 2 goals they lost were very poor goals they lost, in my opinion. Second half, as Mark says, they kind of upped the ante a wee bit and started playing a bit better, but I think Denmark probably knew they had the game in the bag and they just managed it and seen the game out, to be honest with you. But as you said, we were lucky to get at half time just 2 goals down. And obviously the other night there, never took chances really, did we? It could have been 4 or 5 if we went and scored. Obviously, getting into the Austria game now, it's must win, isn't it? So you've got to go there and take something. You certainly can't get beaten, come away with nothing.
Yeah, definitely. Brian, is tomorrow night a must win for Scotland?
I would say so. If we're wanting to get I would imagine second place is a playoff, so I think Denmark will be out of reach now, so they will. We have to win. I'd like to see us being more positive. I think we're too negative. So we've got good players, we've got good front men. I like Boy Nisbet. If I'm honest, I'd play him and Che Adams together. So, but I know he likes Dykes. Maybe for defensively at set pieces as well. But I would go with the Boy Nisbet and Che Adams up front. Try that.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think this? 3-3 is basically a 5. Let's be honest. I just can't really stick it, man. I just don't think it suits some of the players that you're accommodating. Robertson and Tierney's playing left centre half, and Robertson. I know if they play a 4, you're going to have to either play Tierney at centre half or probably no Pickham. But I just think it suits the rest of the team better than like that rather than this.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly playing one of them out of position, aren't you?
I know. I just think you would get the best out of at least one of them playing as a 4 rather than the 3. But I played it for that long now. I think.
Tierney's probably showing up better than Robertson in the last year or so in the Scotland squad. But Robertson's always going to play in. He's a captain and playing with Liverpool week in, week out. He's not going to take the risk of dropping a big name like that.
Nah, definitely not.
Basis scrutiny. But
yeah, definitely not. It's going to be a big game tomorrow night. We'll obviously have match coverage on it all night long. But we'll touch a bit on a couple of fan questions. I'm keen to get everybody's thoughts in this. Who had a better transfer window, Rangers or Celtic? Shankers.
It's a hard one because, as in buying players, Celtic have been a wee bit more active in that department by going and buying 8, 9, 10 players, new signings. But they needed that more than Rangers. I think Rangers' best business was no letting anybody go and just keeping the same squad that they had, more or less. Adding 1 or 2, Lundstrom and who else was it?
Sakala,
that's it. Lundstrom and Sakala. Adding 1 or 2 to a squad that they already had. But I think the best bit of business for Rangers was keeping the squad that they have. It's a hard one because they both had good windows for totally different reasons, if you know what I mean. But I don't think you can really answer this question to maybe a couple of months down the line and you see the sort of impact that the players have at Celtic, or if say Rangers going down a wee bit of a bumpy run or something, do they players then want out in January or something? I would be very surprised if this squad that Rangers have got it's the same squad at the end of the season, because say Glenn Kamara or Ryan Kent goes and if it's a right good 6-month spell in January, there's going to be teams come calling. So it'll be interesting to see a few months down the line, and I think maybe see who's had the better bit of business.
Brian, have you been kind of happy with Rangers' start to the season so far?
Obviously disappointment going out the Champions League. A couple of bad spells in both them ties, but I didn't see the Dundee United game, the game we lost in the league, but I thought, look, again, it's early doors in the season. I think both sides are quick to write each other off, and you need to see how it develops. A long way to go, and I think Rangers will come good again, to be honest. I thought for half hour in that Old Firm game at the start of the second half, I thought they bossed it. I thought they bullied Celtic, more dominant, and the goal was always going to come. Then obviously Celtic came more into it. I thought Rangers maybe sat off a bit and were happy to take the 1-0. But look, Celtic looked decent under this new man, Postecoglou, and he's made a lot of
pronunciation, Brian.
Practiced it, so I did.
You're right, you have.
What's been your thoughts on the season so far?
It's tight, isn't it? As Brian said, I think Celtic is going to come decent under him. I certainly do. But
under him,
you're not asking me. You're not asking me to pronounce that. No chance. No, but it's nip and tuck, innit? I think obviously the All Firm. I think Rangers showed big character getting into that game with what's obviously happened with who they had out, the young boy playing in nets. I thought they showed great character, and they could have probably won it more than what they did, to be honest with you. But as two guys said, it's still early days, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's a final question for Brian. You'll know who this is from, but I'm not going to say his name because he wants to remain anonymous. Give us a hostile win at Cheltenham 2022.
We've got on 8.
Honeysuckle.
One of David Cotton's in the cross country. AJAS, possibly.
Very good. We are going to wrap up the show there. Thanks very much to Shankers for coming on as always. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No worries. Good.
And thanks to our Glenafton guests, Ross and Brian. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, lads. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Brilliant. We will be back on Thursday with another episode of the Scottish Football Show, so stay tuned for that. Thanks very much to everyone who's tuned in. Please check out our social media channels and subscribe to us on YouTube and our podcast pages. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you soon. Cheers.